Good morning, everyone. There's not many people on today, but you told me there probably wouldn't be. And the reason for that is it's Easter Sunday morning. So a lot of people are doing church things or other things and aren't going to be on. Luckily, this, as you know, is recorded, so you'll be able to watch this on YouTube later. This is our review session for the third week of our competitive bidding series. The first week we covered preemptive bidding. The next week we covered overcalls. And this week we're covering takeout doubles. And as we've talked about before, when the opponents have opened the bidding, everything else that happens after that is the competitive bidding part. Our rules change. The only things we have available to us once the opponents have opened are a preemptive bid, an overcall, or a takeout double. The preemptive bid is available to us even before the opponents have opened because we can bid 3 diamonds. That means less than an opening hand and a good 7-card suit. Or the opponents could open, say, 1 club or 1 heart, and we could bid 3 diamonds, meaning the same thing. So the preemptive bids can work in either position, either before or after the opponents have bid. In the case of the next two things we're covering, overcalls, which we covered last week, and takeout doubles, which we covered this past week, both of those occur after the opponents have opened. And after the opponents have opened, if you're going to make a regular call, a regular bid, not preemptive, you must do one of these two things, the overcall or the takeout double. The rules are different, and we can now no longer just bid a heart if we have an opening hand and 5 hearts. We have to overcall something that they have bid. We may or may not be able to bid our regular 1 heart opening bid, and we may find that we can bid with less than opening bid. So these are things we need to keep in mind, especially as we cover overcalls and takeout doubles. So the first thing I'd like to do is, this is the handout that you guys got. And on it, it covers overcalls and takeout doubles. So let's review first the overcall situation. Now, an overcall sounds like a very official word of some sort. Basically, it just means you are taking a call over the opponents. The opponents have bid something, and now your bid is not just a regular opening bid, as it would have been if they had not bid. Now it is an overcall. And for an overcall, you need to meet certain restrictions. The first thing is you need to have a good 5-card suit. Well, we learned what a good suit is when we talked about preemptive bidding. A good suit is 2 of the top 3 or 3 of the top 5. So if you were going to overcall, you need to have a good suit. Whereas when you just bid, if you open 1 heart, you just need to have 5 hearts just to open the bidding. But an overcall is different. If the opponents have bid and now you want to bid your heart suit, which you would have been able to bid before, now you have to have a good 5-card suit to mention it. But the good part is we have kind of expanded our range a little bit of what we can have. An overcall can be as low as 8 high card points, plus a couple for links, so around 8 to 10 points if you have a good 5-card suit. So when the opponents have opened and you bid a suit, you're not promising as many points as you were before, but you're promising a really good suit, which you weren't promising before. You could open a heart with any 5 hearts, okay? So 8 points to overcall, but there is a top limit on it too, 16 points. So somewhere between 8 and 16 points. If you have about the medium range of an opening hand, 16 or better, 17 or better, you are going to want not to overcall, but to do a takeout double, which we'll discuss in just a minute. So there's a range limit on the overcall if you were just going to bid a suit over the opponent's suit. Now, why would we want to do these things? I mean, if the opponents have bid, why do we even want to get in the bidding? Well, there's several reasons for it. Number one, as you know, we love to interfere with the opponents. Okay. Just because they bid doesn't mean we can't bid, and it makes it more difficult for them to find where they belong. So we're going to bid if we can. The second thing is just because they've bid, that doesn't mean it's their hand. We might even have a game. Probably not, but we might. But we surely could have possibly have a part score, something below a game if we find a good fit with our partner. So that's two things right there. We interfere with them, we find our own place, it may be our hand. And the third thing is to suggest a lead to your partner. If the opponents wind up getting the bid, it's a good idea because on defense, as you know, we can't look at each other's hands. A declarer can see all the cards they have to play. But on defense, you don't know what your partner has. And so we need to use signals or different ways to communicate where our strength might be in the defense hands because we can't see each other. So having made an overcall when you have a good suit is a good way to give your partner a hint about your hand. So it suggests a lead for your partner. Now, one other thing we need to mention is if you have to overcall at the 2 level, if they've opened a heart and you want to bid diamonds, needs to be a little better than the 8 that we talked about before. If you're going to overcall at the 2 level, it probably needs to be 11 or 12, closer to an opening hand. Your partner's going to expect more than they do of an overcall at 1 level. And the last thing about these overcalls is that you can overcall one no trump. And it means about the same thing as a regular one no trump opening bid means. Instead of 15 to 17, it's 15 to 18, a little bit stronger, it could be. And it's the same balanced hand, no more than one doubleton. But one thing that is required now that's not required of a regular opening no trump bid is you need to have a stopper in the opponent's bid suit. So if the opponent's bid a heart and you want to overcall one no trump, you have a good no trump hand, you need to also have hearts stopped. That means you need to have a holding in hearts that would keep the opponents from running that heart suit, just going ace, king, queen, jack on out. So that means you need to have at least an ace or a king, queen, or a king and a couple of small ones, a queen and several small ones, queen, jack, and a couple of small ones. Anything that where you should be able to stop them running the suit. As we've discussed before, years ago, it was that you needed to have all suits stopped and no trump. We don't require that anymore at all. You don't have to have any suits stopped. But if the opponents have told you about a suit by bidding and you want to overcall with no trump, you need to have that suit stopped. You are promising that. Okay, so that's the overcall part of the bidding. Opponents have opened. We want to make a bid ourselves. We can make an overcall with a good 5-card suit and somewhere between 8 and 16 points. Now, what does partner do? This is called partner's bid is called advancing or just responding to an overcall. You know, my partner is overcalled. Now what do I do? Okay. Well, the easiest situation is if you don't have support for what partner said, if the opponent's bid a diamond and partner said a heart, and you don't have 3-card support for hearts, you just bid naturally what you would have bid before. So if they bid a diamond, a diamond and your partner overcalled a heart, you don't have 3 hearts, you can bid a spade with just 6 points because that's all that's ordinarily required. Or you could bid 2 clubs, 10 or more points. So you would just bid as normally if you can't support partner's suit. You also bid normally, keeping in mind that partner could have as little as 8 points. So if partner overcalls and you have an opening hand, you don't think to yourself, oh, goody, we have a game because partner could very well just have 8 points. It's more likely you have a part to score when the opponents have opened the bidding. They've taken up 13 points when they open. There's 27 points left between the other three people at the table. So it happens, but it's not that usual that you would have a game. So anyway, if there's been a bid, partner is overcalled, it's your turn to bid. Bid as usual unless you have support. Okay. And if you have support, the rules change. So with 3 card support, there's 2 different levels. Either you are at a weak level, 7 to 9. Now we know this level, right? Because we recognize this as a minimum response to a partner's bid. Or you have 10 or more points and support. Remember that when partner has opened the bidding with a suit and we're going to support that suit, we revalue our hand to take shortness points instead of length points. So in our example that we're using, the opponent's bid a diamond, partner bid a heart, pass. It's our turn to bid. If we have 3-card support for partner, he promised 5. If we have 3, that's our magic 8 that we need. Then we look at our hand. If we have a singleton, a void, or a doubleton, we're going to add 3, 5, or 1 points, depending on which it is. A void is 5, singleton's 3, doubleton is 1. So we're going to revalue doing that. And then we're going to decide, are we in the minimum category, 7 to 9? Do we just barely have a bid? Or are we stronger? Do we have 10 or more? If we are in the minimum category, 6 or 7 to 9, we are going to raise partner's suit using the law of total tricks. We talked about the law of total tricks a little bit in preemptive bidding. It really comes into play here. The law of total tricks is, as we said, it's a long statistical probability discussion of how hands are distributed. And it says that if one pair has a long suit, the other pair also has a long suit. And so a corollary that comes out of that discussion is if you can bid to the level that you have trump between you, it is better for you than letting the opponents bid to the level they have trump between them. So if we have 8 cards in a suit, we can bid to the 2 level. 6 and 2 is 8. That's the 2 level. If we have 9 between us, we should be able to bid to the 3 level. And if we have 10 between us, he has 5, I have 5, we should be able to bid to the 4 level. Now, it does not mean that we're going to make the bid. It does not mean that. What it means is that we should not go down so much that it's not better for us to bid our suit instead of laying back and letting them bid their suit. So it is a control thing. Possibly we'll make it. We might, but it's really what we're doing is interfering with the opponents. We already said that's one of the reasons we like to overcall is to interfere with the opponents. And a straight overcall doesn't interfere that much, but the advances do interfere with the opponents. So if you are at the minimum level, 3 cards at least in the suit, 6 or 7 to 9 points using dummy points. If partner bid 1 heart and you have 3 card support, you'll bid 2 hearts. If you have 4 card support, you'll bid 3 hearts. That's 9. 6 and 3 is 9. 5 and 4 is 9. And if you have 5 in the suit and he had 5 in the suit, you're going to bid 4 hearts. So you're just going to jump up there. The more trump that you have, it knocks them, makes it very difficult for them to decide whether or not to bid. And you don't have to have many points. As a matter of fact, it's saying to partner, I've got a minimum hand when you jump like that. Now, I want to point out one thing to you that this is very different than what we learned in standard bridge, in our beginning bridge class. In our beginning bridge class, if partner opens a heart and we have 6 to 9, we bid 2 hearts, and at least we have support. And if we have 10 or 12, we bid 3 hearts, 1 heart, 3 hearts. That is off. That's totally different when there's been an overcall. When there's been an overcall with a minimum amount, 6 to 9, you raise your partner's suit to either 2, 3, or 4. But if you've got 10 or more, that limit raise we used to refer to, 10 or more, then you Q bid in the opponent's suit. And a Q bid promises 10 points and support for partner. How that would look would be 1 diamond by the opponents, 1 heart by my partner, pass, 2 diamonds by me. 2 diamonds means 10 points and support for your suit partner. You'll notice that this is also an interference bid because I have now bid 2 diamonds at the 2 level, 1 diamond, 1 heart, pass, 2 diamonds. This guy, if he wants to bid again, is going to have to bid at the 3 level. So he's going to have to make a big decision about what he wants to bid. If I don't do that, if it goes 1 diamond, 1 heart, pass, 1 spade, he can easily just decide to bid 2 diamonds. But when I bid his suit, it pushes him up to the 3 level. He's got to go there. So those are the differences on an overcall. First, when the opponents have bid and you make the overcall, it means a good suit and 8 to 16 points. There's a limit on it, 8 to 16. And your partner responds if they have support for you by raising with minimum support and Q bidding with 10 or more points. Okay. This comes up all the time. So you need to know this bid is an overcall. Okay. The second thing you need to know, this is what we covered in this past week, is take out doubles. Take out doubles. Now, the first thing we need to think about a takeout double is a double is the red card that's in the box, the red X that's in your bidding box. You just take that out and double. The original meaning of that was that you were doubling the opponent's score if they went down. In other words, if they bid 4 hearts and you didn't think they could make it, you would double. And that meant if they didn't make it, you would get twice as many tricks for every trick they went down. But if they do make it, they get double amount of the trick score. So it was for penalties. It was to penalize the opponents for bidding too high, because otherwise you just bid, a game every time. And if you made it, great. And if you didn't, you went down some. This keeps you from just doing that. Now you have to be careful because you could lose more points by going down than you could gain, like by bidding the game. So the penalty double kept you out of doing that. But that doesn't happen that much. How often do the opponents bid up to 4 hearts or 4 spades or 5 clubs or 5 diamonds or even 3 no trump, and you are for sure that they're not going to make it? That doesn't happen very much. It happens, but not a lot. And so a long time ago, we decided, what? Rather than just keeping these doubles for that situation where we want to penalize people for bidding too high, let's use them for other things where they wouldn't be in a situation where they would be penalties. And so usually the way you know that it is for takeout is neither the doubler nor the doubler's partner have previously bid. Okay, so you haven't bid yet. And the opposing people have bid either 1 or 2 suits. I'm not counting no trump, but 1 or 2 suits. And it's either your first or second time to bid. So kind of boiling this down, if you double at a low level, if you double like anywhere below 3 spades, generally it is not for penalty. It's for takeout. And takeout means, partner, you've got to bid. If it goes 1 diamond double pass, it means partner has to bid, because if it goes one diamond, double, pass, and I pass, the opponents are going to play the contract of one diamond doubled. Well, you know, I didn't mean they weren't going to be able to make one diamonds. I meant something else. If you don't bid, even if you have a lot of diamonds in your hand and you think, oh, maybe we could set this, if you don't set it and they make over tricks, it is very penalizing. The over tricks are 100 points apiece. So a takeout double is meant as a bid that says partner bid something. Okay, that's why it's called a takeout double. It means partner, do not leave this double on the board, bid something else so that my double is not in effect anymore. It's not a penalty double. Okay, it's called a takeout double. So, what are the requirements to do that? What is partner telling me when he does that? Well, the main thing he's saying is he's got an opening hand. A takeout double promises an opening hand. An overcall, remember, didn't. It was just 8 points plus. But a takeout double says, partner, I've got an opening hand. They've bid, I've got an opening hand. The second thing it says is, I don't know what to bid. I don't have a 5-card suit to bid, but I've got cards in all the other suits. I've got at least 3 cards in all the other suits. And best case scenario is you've only got 1 or 2 of their suit, and so you've got a lot of cards in the other suits. But at least you need to have 3 cards in the other suits, or hopefully in the unbid major suits. And so what you're saying is, partner, I've got an opening hand. We should be bidding here, but I don't know what to bid. I don't have a suit to bid. So you bid a suit. That's what it's saying. So one diamond, double, pass. I've got to bid something, even if I have 0 points. 0 points. I cannot pass. Every other bid in captivity, if we have less than 6 points, we can pass. Not when partner's made a takeout double. When partner has made a takeout double, we must bid. They have an opening hand. They have cards in all the other suits. They just want us to bid our best suit. Now, it could mean one other thing. Remember that we said in an overcall that if you had 16 or more points, that was too big to overcall. So you do a takeout double instead. If you do a takeout double and partner bids anything, and then you bid a suit, because the takeout double says, partner, I don't have a suit, you pick a suit. Well, if partner picks a suit and then you come back and bid a suit, that was the big double. That means you have 16, 17 total points. You have a strong suit and a big hand. You double first, then you bid the suit. That's called the big double. It's the big double when your hand was too big to overcall. Okay. So let's talk about, because since this big double, we don't know about it at the beginning. When we hear one of something by the opponents, double by our partner, we just think opening hand he wants me to bid a suit, I'll bid a suit. You won't know till the second time he bids that he's got the big double. And that does not happen very often. It does happen, but it's not that often. Usually one of something double, this means he's got an opening hand and he doesn't have a suit and he wants you to pick a suit. Okay. So how do you advance the bid then after your partner has made a takeout double? The first thing, which should not be surprising to you, is that we give priority to major suits. So if we have 5 clubs and 4 hearts, we're going to bid the hearts first, as long as we have 4. If we don't have a 4-card major, then we'll just bid our longest suit. Of course, if our longest suit is a major suit, definitely we'll bid that. But you've got to bid something. So with 0 to 8 points, you are going to bid your whatever suit you pick at the cheapest level you can bid it. So that might be 1 diamond by the opponents, double by your partner, pass, 1 heart. or it might be a diamond, double, pass, two clubs. That means I have like five clubs and I don't have a four card major suit. So it is the least that I can bid, showing my best suit or showing a four card major, even if I might have a better minor suit. Okay. Now, if it goes one diamond, double, one heart by the opponents, if they throw a bid in, you're off the hook. You don't have to bid now. If they don't bid, you must bid. But if they bid, now you're off the hook. But you will bid if you have 6 to 8 points. Okay. Still the same rule, the lowest level. So one diamond, double, one heart, one spade by me means 6 to 8 points in at least 4 spades. One diamond, double, pass one spade means 0 to 8 points. Okay. So if they pass, I've got to bid at 0 to 8. If they bid and I bid, I'm promising at least 6 in that case. Now, if you've got a little bit more, 9 to 11, and I just like to think in my head about 10 points. I've got about 10 points. Now I'm going to jump in my suit, my four card major or my longest suit. So that would be like one diamond, double, pass, two hearts. Could have been one heart. That would be 0 to 8, but I bid two hearts. Now you know I've got about 10 points and hearts is my suit. The last thing is, what if you have opening hand yourself? Okay. So if it's gone one diamond, double, pass, and I've got an opening hand and 5 hearts, I'm just going to bid 4 hearts. All right, then and there. Opening hand versus opening hand is a game. Partner has told me to pick a suit. I've got 5 hearts. He's got at least 3 cards in every suit. I've got 5 hearts. He's got 3. I'm just going to bid to game. So when you're in that situation and you've got 12 or more points, you know you belong at game. You just go ahead and bid the game. Sometimes, though, you're not sure. You've got game. You've got 12 points, but you're not sure where you should be. And this usually comes, the easiest way to think of it is when I've got 4 hearts and 4 spades and partners doubled. Which one do I bid? You know, either one might be okay. He might have 4 hearts and 4 spades, or he might have 4 of one and 3 of the other. I've got 2 major suits. So really, I'll let him pick whatever major suit he wants to pick. So when that's the situation, I Q bid. And a Q bid is the same thing we talked about on an overcall, has a different meaning. It works the same. One diamond, double, pass, 2 diamonds. I bid their suit. 2 diamonds promises an opening hand here. It would have just promised 10 points on an overcall. But now an opening hand, and I'm saying, partner, I don't want to pick, you pick. You told me to pick when you doubled. I'm not picking, you pick. And the usual reason for that is I have 2 major suits, equal length. I don't want to pick, you pick one of those. And he knows you've got opening hands. So the next thing you're going to hear from him generally is going to be 4 hearts or 4 spades. 1 diamond, double, pass, 2 diamonds. You pick, partner, pass, 4 hearts or 4 spades. He'll pick whichever one of the major suits he wants to pick. Okay. So that's the responses to takeout doubles. These come up a lot. Okay. You need to know these responses. 0 to 8, make a minimum bid. And if the opponents intervene, you don't have to bid, but you will bid if you have 6 to 8. Otherwise, you're required to bid. A little bit more, around 10 points, 9 to 11, you jump in your suit. And then if you've got 12 or more, basically an opening hand against his opening hand, then you jump to game or you Q bid to tell him to pick a suit. So that's what happens on a takeout double. It is important to remember that once the opponents have bid, and you don't have a preemptive bid, once the opponents have bid, there are only two things you can bid. You can overcall or you can do a takeout double. Your bid is going to mean one of those two things. There is no way that you can bid a suit over a over an opening bid by the opponents and not mean an overcall. It is an overcall. And so it's 8 to 16 and a 5-card suit. Or you can do a takeout double, which means an opening hand and 3 cards in the other suit. It is not infrequent that the opponents are going to open something and you, the second person to bid, will not have a bid. You may have an opening hand, but you don't have the shape to do a takeout double, and you don't have a good 5-card suit. So you can't bid, you have to pass. This comes up, you will see this a lot once you start watching for it. Frequently, the second person can't bid because they either have to overcall or take out double. And if they can't do either one of those, they have to pass. They have to pass even with an opening hand. So when it comes back now around to the partner of the person that's in second position, you want to try to bid if you at all can, because partner could have a good hand, just can't bid anything. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, there's one other thing we need to talk about, and that is that you can bid a no trump after your partner has done a takeout double. That is one of the options that's available to you. So 1 diamond, double, pass. I can show a suit the way we talked about, but sometimes I've got their suit. I don't have a suit of my own, but I've got their suit. When I have their suit, I want to think about no trump. They can't run their suit. I've got stoppers in their suit. I can keep them from running it. So when that's the situation, I can bid 1 no trump with about 8 to 10, 7 to 9, around in there. I'm not going to quibble about those exact amounts, but basically a minimum hand, but with their suit stock with diamonds. I have 4 or 5 diamond. They bid a diamond, double, pass. I've got 4 or 5 diamonds, a couple of top diamonds, and a few points. I'm going to bid 1 no trump. If I have more points, 11 or 12, 10 to 12, I will bid 2 no trump. And if I've got an opening hand and my partner is going to take out double, and I know he has an opening hand, then I'm going to bid 3 no trump if I don't have a good suit of my own and I've got their diamonds. So those no trump bids are come up when you've got the opponent's suit. Partner has told you to name a suit. Your suit's the opponent's suit. When that's the case, you can bid no trump. Okay. Now, so that is takeout double and your partner's response to the takeout double. Once your partner has responded to the takeout double, you are going to do one of several things. Okay. If it went 1 diamond, double, pass, 1 heart, partner can have 0 points, right? Might have 8, could have 0. So I'm going to pass if I just had a minimum takeout double hand, 13, even 15 points. The most my partner can have is 8 if he makes a minimum bid. So unless I have 17, 18 points in the takeout double, I am not going to bid. I'm just going to pass. That is the most frequent thing that happens after partners takeout double. 1 of something, double, pass. 1 of something, pass, pass, pass. That happens a lot. Or maybe they come back in the bid. But if you have the minimum, frequently partner is going to pass. Now, if partner has a little bit better hand, a medium hand here, 16 or 17 points maybe, then he can raise the suit that you mentioned. So if it goes 1 diamond, double, pass, 1 heart, and he's got 17 points, he may raise your hearts, especially if it goes 1 diamond, double, pass, 2 hearts. I've got 10 points. Now, with 16, 17 points, he will raise my suit and he'll just raise it to game in that case because he knows I've got 10. He's got 16 or 17. He can raise to game. He can also jump raise with a maximum hand, like 18 points or more. Okay. But thing to remember is if he bids any other suit, new suit, that is the big double. So one diamond, double, pass, one heart, pass, one spade. He told me to bid and he's bidding a new suit. I bid my suit. He's got a big hand. He's got at least 17 plus and a very good spade suit. Okay. If it comes back to me, if I've got 0 points, I'm going to pass. But if I've got 7 or 8 points and I've got spades, I might raise his spades. Or if my hearts was a really serious heart bid and I've got 7 or 8 points, I might rebid my hearts. So you kind of have to decide once you know what the bids mean, which way you're going to go with that. Okay, so that is in overall what we do when the opponents have opened the bidding. And that's if we're not going to preempt. But if the opponents open the bidding, then we do either an overcall or a takeout double. Overcall is 8 to about 17, 16 or 17. A takeout double is a opening hand and have partner bid the suit. Or it may be the too strong to overcall hand where I've got a really good suit, too many points to overcall. And we'll know that in my second bid after, partner comes back and says something, naming a new suit, and then I name another new suit. That is the big double. That is where I had extra points too big for the original double. Because you are competing for the bid in these situations, both overcalls and takeout doubles, it is not the usual situation that you are going to bid a game. It can happen, but remember when the opponents have opened the bidding, they've got 13 points. Now there's just 27 points left for the other 3 of you. If partner had an opening hand, that's 13 and 13. That's, 26 points. Now there's only 14 for the other 2 of you. It can be that I've got most of them. He's got 13. I've got 13. We've got a game between us and all the points are over here in that guy's hand. That can certainly happen, but it's much more usual that they open and your partner either does a takeout double or an overcall, and you guys wind up playing 2 or 3 of something, no trump or a suit. You also need to remember that when partner passes, after an opening person is bid, your partner passing does not mean he doesn't have anything. It meant he couldn't overcall or do a takeout double. If that has happened, a diamond, pass, maybe a heart here. If you've got anything, 10 points or more, you should try to bid because that would help him get back in the bidding if he had an opening hand. And you are not considered the same thing because your partner is passed. Your partner is what's called a passed hand. When he's a passed hand, now you can open with as few as 10 points. Okay. So when you're the last person to bid for you and your partner, you need to try to bid if you can because your partner might not have been able to bid. So if you have a good suit, you'll overcall, or with even just 10 points, not an opening hand, you can do a takeout double. Because when partners are passed hand, your bids don't mean quite the same thing as they did before. Okay, so that is the overcalls and takeout doubles in general. I would really recommend that you take a look at the exercises in the book. I'm not going to go over them on this discussion today, but the in both the overcall section and the takeout double section, you should go through the book and do these exercises and do them without looking at the answers over here, okay? Because there's a different muscle in your brain that is working when you are actually figuring out the answer yourself. And when you are reading the answer and going, oh, yeah, I understand that, you need to actually try to do it yourself. And for me, I have to go through and work all of them and then go back and look at the answers. Because if I'm looking at the answers, I do one, look at the answer, do another, look at the answer. I'll see too many of the answers, and I'm not really exercising that muscle in my brain. So for both overcalls and takeout doubles, my recommendation is really to go through Audrey Grant's book and look at that. All right, guys, that's it for today. For our next class for tomorrow, Monday, we are going to cover the last information that's in the competitive bidding book. And it is really what happens in the rest of the auction when there has been a takeout double or an overcall, number one. And number two, it covers a special bid that you will wind up using a lot, called a negative double. So we're learning two kinds of doubles in this class, the takeout double from today. Next class, we'll learn the negative double. We're going to also do some of the hands out of the book tomorrow because we didn't get to do hands last week. And then our last class meeting, which is a week from Monday, we will play hands most of the day. That'll be mainly what we do that day. All right, guys, that's it. Hope everybody has a nice holiday, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.